Today I thought I would make a video on our inspection process. This isn't going to be exact. I already inspected this truck when it was in Tennessee. This is just to give you a general idea of what we look at. Keep in mind that we also talk to the mechanics, the fleet mechanics, before we get there. So we have a pretty good idea of what's going on. This is already staged a little bit because I can't count on this computer to work every time. But anyways, first and foremost, we get there, we verify there's no lights, we verify the miles, then scan it. No faults there. No faults there. There's no faults on this truck at all. Start it up, listen to it, start. Make sure it builds up air. I drove this truck home yesterday, so it is a little low on fuel. Pop the hood. Actually, go ahead and get the AC going. It's hot here already. Check the oil, obviously. Look for the blow-by. Check and make sure there's no cupping on the tires. No excessive vibration in the front bumpers. Check to make sure it's got plenty of coolant. Make sure it's relatively clean. Give the engine a really good visual inspection. Make sure there's no visible oil. You're gonna check this tire as well for any cupping or anything out of the ordinary. Now, before we ever get there, these trucks have been inspected, because I'd be really angry if we went there and I found something and I was delayed getting home to my family. So we have a pretty good idea of what we're doing, or what we're getting before we get there. You're going to go through, check your U-joints. I think that's what that's called. I'm not a mechanic, but I know how to check it. Then you're going to check your carrier bearing, make sure there's no excessive play. If it moves up and down, you need a new carrier bearing. This is typically what the trucks look like when we get them. We just didn't paint the frame on this truck. You're gonna check the rubber, gaskets and grommets and all that. Gonna check these tires, make sure they're not slicks, make sure there's no cupping. Make sure that you have triangles and a fire extinguisher. There's a fire extinguisher, triangles are over there. Make sure everything opens and closes as it should. With these Volvos, come over here. Make sure that hood actually latches on both sides. Sometimes these Volvos don't. And it's not a hard fix, but I'd hate to be driving one of these back to the office and the hood come open and, well, that's an expensive hood. And I make sure everything works correctly. This doesn't have the overhead things. Interesting. But, you know, make sure everything works and opens and closes as it should. Which, I'm kind of speeding through this because obviously we've already had this truck, I've already done this, I already made a full video walk around. You're gonna check the horns, check the wipers. The main thing that we really go to look for is mechanical. But you know, obviously once you start heading home, if you get cut out at night or in the rain, you want to make sure everything works. If you have to roll your windows down, you want to make sure they both work. Obviously, you want to make sure your mirrors work. Step outside. Verify that the lights work. You want to do your best to make sure the frame is straight. After the truck's built up air, what we do, we pop the hood again. Go ahead and shut these guys off. You're going to listen for air leaks. You're going to have a lot of air leaks around here. And a lot of air leaks in the back. I had an instant where just, you know, stuff goes wrong sometimes when you're driving these. Everybody knows that. And a part failed and I was on the side of the road. It was a pain in the ass. It wasn't really an expensive part either. It just... it was like this valve right here down there, and lost all my air and couldn't move. Obviously, before you ever start the truck up, you're gonna make sure you're good on fluids. I kind of breezed through it. You're gonna check your oil. I shouldn't have even done that one-handed. You're gonna check your oil, make sure you're even good to start it, right? And you're just going to give the engine a really good once over. And check the brakes and make sure, you know, they're good. We already checked for leaks on that side. Like I said, make sure the hood is fully closed. Don't be afraid to get down on the ground. Really get under there. We really... We really, at least I do, inspect the shit out of these things because I don't want problems. You know, obviously you're going to open every door, close every door. That's why I do the door test. Just to make sure everything works. And there's the triangles. Make sure before you leave that the seat works. Sometimes the air supply going to the seat doesn't work or it's been cut. But you don't want to ride the whole way with the seat on the ground. On these Volvos, let me see. These Volvos, you can sit here. Come on, load. Oh, that AC feels nice. Alright, on these Volvos, you can do diagnostics. No faults. And what I do before I ever leave, roll the window down. I'm not going to do that on this truck because I've already done it, but typically I turn the AC off. Obviously, before you leave, you're going to pre-trip this thing to make sure you're even good. You're not leaking air or anything like that. You should always pre-trip trucks, especially unknown trucks. Let me back up out of here. And you're just going to take it for a quick test drive. You know, depending upon your situation. When we're looking at trucks to buy, we take them on like a bare minimum of a 20-mile one-way trip. So you're looking at 40 miles round trip. But that way, it gives you a pretty good idea of what's going on. Make sure it's not pulling. Make sure it goes through the gears real well. That's when you check your Jake brake and your cruise. Like I said, there's a tag. I drove this truck in and my camera's about to die, so I'm not going to do that today. But, yeah, and you're just going to listen for anything crazy. These Volvos tell you the gear you're in right there. You're just going to make sure they go through the gears real well. what I do halfway through, I pull over and I open the hood and I check for any wetness on the oil, any wetness on the engine. I check the blow by again, so we can get you guys the best possible truck. And then obviously test the horns, make sure the visors are secure. Thanks for watching.